My name is Olivia Hudson, and my story is not about being born lucky, rich, or special. I wasn't the most beautiful girl in school. I wasn't the smartest in college, and I certainly wasn't the most confident. In fact, for a long time, I felt invisible, mocked, lonely, and broken inside. But what makes my story unique is not where I started, but how far I came. I was the girl nobody noticed, and I became the woman everyone respects. I was once lost in depression and doubt, and today I am a strong, successful woman, a wife, and a mother of two beautiful daughters. My story is proof that no matter how dark your past is, you can still build a bright future. I want to share it with you, not to brag, but to show you that if I could change my life, then so can you. I was born in a small town in the state of Maine. We didn't have much money, but our home was always filled with warmth and love. My father was a math teacher, and my mother worked as a librarian. They were my heroes, my first and safest world. My childhood felt like a fairy tale. In the mornings, I woke up to the smell of my mom's freshly baked rolls, and in the evenings, I played board games or read books with my dad. I truly believed the whole world was as kind as our home. Back then, I had no idea that one day I would face the other side of life. It was at school that I first learned the world can be cruel. My classmates laughed at me because of my glasses, because of the simple clothes I wore. They called me a plain little mouse. It was a shock for me. I was used to kindness, but instead, I met with mockery and rejection. I tried to be friendly, to help others, but in return, I received ridicule. That was the first time I realized the world wasn't always fair, and that kindness alone wouldn't protect me from pain. When my classmates started dating boys and going to parties, I stayed home. I watched them from the sidelines and thought, why can't I be like them? What's wrong with me? I found comfort in books and music. I started keeping a journal where I wrote down my thoughts, dreams, and fears. That journal became my secret world where I could truly be myself. On the outside, I remained quiet and loneliness became a part of me. When I moved to Boston for college, I thought my life would finally begin. But surrounded by crowds of students, I felt even lonelier. I fell into depression. I stopped believing that I could ever be happy. One night, I looked into the mirror and saw nothing but emptiness in my eyes, and I told myself, enough. The very next day, I went to the gym. Those first steps were the hardest, gasping for breath, stumbling, falling. But every time I stood back up, and with each day, I was learning to take back control of my life. Discipline and fitness transformed me. I grew stronger not only physically, but also inside. I started running in the mornings, practicing yoga, eating healthy, and reading books on self-development. The most important thing was that I learned to love myself. I stopped waiting for someone else to validate me or to tell me I was worthy. I became my own support system. And people noticed the change. Men paid attention, colleagues admired my willpower. But the greatest victory was within. For the first time, I felt confident and proud of who I was. My career path was far from easy. My first job was as a waitress, working 12-hour shifts, coming home exhausted. Later, I became a secretary in an office. Endless days, repetitive tasks, no excitement. But deep inside, I knew I was meant for more. I started taking courses in business, marketing, and management. It wasn't easy, but I kept going. Soon people noticed my efforts. I was promoted first to assistant manager, then to project manager. Today, I'm the director of a department in a large corporation. My workdays are filled with meetings, projects, decisions. And every single day, I remember I built this path myself. Sometimes I think back to that little girl with glasses, the one who was mocked at school. I think of the young woman who cried herself to sleep at night, and I can hardly believe that was me. But you know what? Now I'm grateful for those years. They shaped me. They made me strong. Without that pain, I wouldn't have become the woman I am today. When I look back at that lonely girl I once was, I often ask myself, what helped me change? It wasn't luck. It wasn't a miracle. It was small, almost invisible steps. First, it was discipline. I promised myself to move my body every single day, even if it was just a short walk or a few push-ups. Those little actions gave me a sense of control when everything else felt broken. Second, it was journaling. Writing down my pain, my fears, and then my dreams that gave me clarity. My journal became my silent friend, my mirror, my therapist. Third, it was knowledge. I read books about psychology, self-development, and biographies of strong people. I wanted to understand how others had walked through the fire and survived. Their stories gave me hope. And finally, it was faith in the future. Even in my darkest nights, I whispered to myself, this is not the end. My story is not over yet. That one thought kept me alive, kept me moving forward. These things didn't change me overnight, but day by day, they built me into the woman I am now. And that is why I say, healing is not one big step. Healing is thousands of small steps that you take, even when no one is watching. Meeting Michael changed my life. He was a successful entrepreneur, confident, smart, but also kind. We met at a corporate event, and from our very first conversation, I felt that this was someone I could trust. Today, we live in harmony, truly soul to soul. We have two wonderful daughters, Sophie and Lily. Sophie, the older one, is a dreamer who loves to paint. Lily, the younger, is full of energy and laughter that fills our home with light. My family is my greatest happiness, and I know I've finally found what I had been searching for all along: love, respect, and support. Meeting Michael was one of the greatest gifts of my life. He wasn't just a successful entrepreneur, he was a man with a strong heart, with values that matched mine. With him, I never had to pretend or hide who I was. He saw my scars, my past, and instead of judging me, he admired my strength. Together, we built a life filled with love and respect. And the most precious part of our life is our two daughters, Sophie and Lily. Sophie, the older one, is a dreamer. She spends hours painting, creating her own worlds on paper. Lily, the younger one, is fire and laughter. She runs through the house, fills every corner with energy. But you know what? I made myself a promise. I will raise them differently than I was raised. Not because my parents did something wrong. They gave me love, warmth, protection, but that was the problem. I grew up unprepared for the cruelty outside. When the world showed its harsh side, I was fragile. I broke too easily. So with my daughters, I decided on another way. I give them love, yes, but I also teach them strength. I tell them, the world can be unfair, people can be cruel, but you must never let that define who you are. I teach Sophie not only to dream, but to stand up for those dreams. I teach Lily that her laughter is her gift, but that she also has a voice that matters, and that she must never be afraid to use it. In our family, we speak openly. We talk about bullying, about envy, about failure. I don't hide reality from them. I prepare them for it. I want them to enter the world not blind, but armed with confidence, kindness, and resilience. Because I know the truth, love alone is not enough. Love must be combined with wisdom, with discipline, with courage. And that is my mission as a mother, to give my daughters not only a safe home, but the strength to face the world outside of it. If I had to walk through fire to learn that lesson, then at least I can make sure they are ready before they meet their own storms. Today, I am a successful woman, a wife, and a mother. I am proud of my journey because once upon a time, I believed I wasn't good enough. But I proved to myself and to the world that it's possible to rise even from the darkest place. And my message to you is simple. Never give up. Don't wait for someone else to rescue you. Your salvation lies within yourself. Start with small steps, a jog, a book, a new habit. Those steps will build you into someone stronger. If I could do it, so can you. And one day, you too will look in the mirror and say, I made it, and I am proud of myself. My wisdom came from pain. For a long time, I thought my weakness was my curse, my shyness, my loneliness, my tears at night. But I see it differently now. My weakness was my teacher. Every wound, every rejection, every time I thought I couldn't go on, all of it made me stronger. I learned that pain is not the end. Pain is the beginning. Pain is the fire that forges your character. My strength is not about muscles or beauty. My strength is my discipline. My strength is in waking up every morning, even when I don't want to, and still moving forward. My strength is in refusing to let my past define my future. I understood one powerful truth. No one is coming to save me. And that truth gave me freedom. Because when you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you, you finally become your own hero. People now see me as confident, successful, radiant. But my real power is not what they see. My real power is what they don't see. The nights I spent fighting my inner demons, the mornings I forced myself to run when my body screamed, stay in bed. The silence I turned into strength. That is my wisdom. That is my power. And if I could build it, so can you.